next up we have Caryn Hartglass. Caryn is the founder of Responsible Eating and Living, REAL, a nonprofit organization that combines science with practical knowledge from real-life experiences to help people understand the effects of food choices on health and environment. Prior to REAL, Ms. Hartglass was the Executive Director of EarthSafe International. She has appeared on Dr. Oz, Geraldo at Large, 2020, and CNN. She currently hosts the weekly It's All About Food show on the Progressive Radio Network and Ask a Vegan on the Real Worldwide Radio. Before her involvement in the nonprofit world, Ms. Hartglass, with bachelor and master's degrees in chemical engineering from Bucknell University, worked in the semiconductor industry for 20 years. A classically trained singer, she has performed opera and musicals in the United States and abroad, and has won 2 international voice competitions in France and South Africa. Please welcome Caryn Hartglass.
Can't wait to introduce you while you walk around. Okay. Hi. How you doing? Good. Looking good. I love being here. Love it. I am proud to be here. Woo! It's such a great moment. Okay, so Anne told you a little bit. I'm the founder of Responsible Eating and Living. Maybe you've been to my table over there. Responsible Eating and Living. The acronym is REAL. And there's a lot of great information up there, recipes, all vegan, some gluten-free, all delicious, and all real, with real food. And we have hundreds of audio podcasts up there where I've done interviews with experts in the food movement, lots of vegan chefs and doctors and nutritionists. And the great thing about this website that we have at responsibleeatingandliving.com is it's all free. And you can go there anytime and tap into our digital library of videos and podcasts and learn as much as you want. And it's for you, and it's for free, and it's, if you want the information, it's there. If you don't want it, well, okay, that's fine. And I founded it primarily, you may or may not know my story. In 2006, I was diagnosed with advanced ovarian cancer, and I had about a 10 to 20% survival rate. And I'm here to tell you that I am alive and well and kicking. I didn't know the bottle was there. And it's not by accident that I am here. It's not a coincidence. There's a reason. And I learned, I was already vegan when I was diagnosed with cancer. And I learned a lot about it. And if you came and heard my talk last year, you'll hear more about it. And maybe you can go to the Responsible Eating and Living website and see that talk. I'm not going to concentrate on that now. But all the information I put together and learned to save myself and heal myself is part of what Responsible Eating and Living is all about. It's about health and wellness and choosing the right foods and making it delicious, because that's the way it should be. And we should all feel the best that we possibly can. I'm often saying to people, you don't know how good you can feel. You don't know. But if you start to eat like this, you will feel better than you ever have. You'll have more energy, you'll look great. And if you're in a crisis, there's a good chance that you can take care of it. Okay. But I want to tell some stories here and talk about why I'm here and how I got to this point. I'm not quite sure when I realized I was an activist. And there are many of us that have gotten to this place of choosing plants as our food, calling ourselves vegan or near vegan or vegetarian. Many of us have come from many different places to the same place. We all have different stories. Some people come here for health reasons. Some people come here for the environment because we know how devastating animal agriculture is on the environment. Some people come here because of the animals. And And I want to say that that's how I arrived here. When I was young, I decided that I didn't want to kill animals for food. But it started really early on. So when I was young, about 7 years old, I was raised by Jewish parents who were not very observant, but they thought we should know a little more, and they sent my sister and I to Sunday school. I was about 7 years old, and I really loved the education, and I loved the stories, I loved the ancient stories, and I loved the foods, and I loved the songs. And something I learned at 7 years old was that the boys that were with me in this class would go on to Hebrew school and have a bar mitzvah and become sons of good deeds, and they would have this ceremony, and the girls weren't required, just the boys. And something went off in my head and said, wait a minute, why can't I do this? Why is it just the boys? And, you know, probably a lot of the boys didn't want to do it. They didn't want to go to school and didn't want to have this responsibility, but I'm thinking, I want it. And my best friend who lived next door, she and I petitioned our parents for quite a while saying, we want to go. And I ended up going to Hebrew school for 5 years and going through the ceremony and all of that. I have to tell you that I'm not a religious person now, but I learned a lot, and it led me to a lot of interesting understandings of things. So while I was going through this training and learning the history and the songs and the food and the language and eating all of that up, literally, there were some things that didn't really make sense to me. So I was a great student. I got great grades, and I participated in everything, and I wanted to do it all right. I wanted to follow all the rules. And yet, on the holidays and the special ceremonies, I wasn't invited up to read from the sacred texts. I wasn't given the honors that the boys in my class were getting. The boys that weren't even as good as me. The boys that would skip class sometimes and go to Little League practice. And yet they were getting the honors. And so this was a place where, in addition to learning wonderful history and wonderful stories and wonderful ethics, I was also learning about prejudice and discrimination against myself. And it was an interesting place to discover it. I didn't know what it was then. I didn't know I was a feminist. I didn't know I was an activist. I just knew inside some stuff is good here and some of it isn't sitting well with me. And then when I finally had my ceremony, the girls had to give a speech. And I wish I saved that speech. I don't have it with me. And I didn't ask for help. And I probably should have, because it wasn't really that articulate and very planned. But there was something in me that I had to express. And basically what I said to everybody in the ceremony was, I didn't understand why people were hungry. I didn't understand why people were starving. I didn't understand why all of us who had means and were comfortable, we weren't rich, but we had means, why weren't we doing something to take care of everyone else? It didn't make sense to me. And so I let that kind of stew for a while in my head. I didn't have any answers. My sister and I, when we were young, we knew about smoking, and we knew that smoking wasn't good, and we would have backyard shows where we would raise money to give to the American Cancer Society. We wanted to help, we wanted to make a difference, and we believed that if we would raise money and give it to the right places, they would solve the problem. It seemed simple to me and a little bit naive. But I was always doing these things and thinking about how to make things better. When I was about 15, I decided I didn't want to eat animals. And then later, when I was off in college, it was really inconvenient to be religious. My professors really didn't want to accommodate holidays with test exams, and I easily gave it up. I became interested in other things, and this discrimination that I felt, where I wasn't getting treated the same way as my male counterparts, it didn't sit well with me. All right, so it's ultimately led me to listen to my head and my heart at the same time. I think it's really important to integrate the two, because So many of us, we can learn from people that we really respect, but we have to take it in and see if it makes sense to us. And one of the things that's important to me here at the Veggie Pride Parade is really commend everyone who has been brave enough, courageous enough to question what we're learning at any time in our life, because some of it is good and some of it may not be good, or it may not be good for us as individuals. It may work for someone else. So I mentioned that, or I think in my bio it was mentioned, I do a weekly radio show with the Progressive Radio Network. It's up on the Upper West Side, and it's called It's All About Food. And I talk about food, which is my favorite subject, food. And very often when I'm running up, often late, to the studio, there's lots of people canvassing out there. There seem to be different hot spots in Manhattan where people have petitions and want to talk to people about things. And very often these young people from Greenpeace and other great environmental organizations will ask me to sign something or donate something. And right away the first thing I ask them is, are you vegan? Kind of takes them off guard because most of them are not. And I just very quickly say, well, you know, the best thing that you can do for the environment, and you're doing great things right now, but the best thing you can do as an individual is not eat animals. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, and I think when we're trying to do something for the environment, for example, we want to be the change we want to see, or God helps those who help themselves. There's a lot of different expressions where if we want change to happen, we have to start with ourselves. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything at all. So I always shake people up when they're stopping me on the streets to sign petitions. And just this week, this Korean woman stopped me, and she had a Korean Bible, and she wanted to share some biblical information with me. And she started to ask me if I was interested or familiar with the Bible. And of course I said to her, are you vegan? And she was confused. I'm not sure, her command of the English language, I'm not sure how well versed she was. And so I said to her, are you a vegetarian? And she said, no. And then I started to talk to her about the Bible and about being vegetarian. And it was amazing, the expressions that I saw in her face. I saw confusion, I saw interest, and I saw like a spark of something that lit that had never been lit before. It was amazing, all at once. And I just gave her a few things to think about, and I said, God, you believe in God. Do you think God really wants us to torture other animals on this planet like we do? Think about when you're drinking cow's milk. In order to have cow's milk, we have to make the cow pregnant, and then most of the time the cow pregnant, and then most of the time the baby, the calf, is ripped from its mother within 24 hours of its birth. The cow is crying for a long time. She wants her baby, and why not? And we take the milk from the cow for us. We don't even give it to the calf. The calf is fed some other stuff to keep itself limp and its meat white and soft, and it's killed very early in its life. And of course the cow is milked so often and kept pregnant so often that she dies in early life. She's killed and made into hamburger. And this woman was kind of stunned, and I'm telling you, the earth is agreeing with me here. She's saying, yeah, listen to all of this because I don't like what's going on to the planet. But then I said, think about the Ten Commandments. Something so simple. Thou shalt not kill. What does that mean? Thou shalt not kill. And I asked her, what does that mean? Does that mean men aren't supposed to kill women? Does that mean white people, yellow people aren't supposed to kill brown people or red people? What does it mean? thou shalt not kill. I think it ends right there because we're not supposed to kill, period. Living beings, we shouldn't be killing. Okay, so she looked up quite stunned, and I just left her with some information about my website, and I told her to have a nice day. And I went off to do my radio show. Am I done now? Oh, okay. All right. So the point is, I just want to give some food for thought, let you know about responsible eating and living. There's a few holidays coming up right now, Passover, of course, and again, I'm not religious, but I love to celebrate holidays and food, and Passover is really important because we talk about the liberation of the Jews from slavery, and I like to bring that story to today and talk about liberating all living beings from all over. We still have slaves in the United States. It's unbelievable. People and animals. There's a lot of crazy things going on. So just in summary, I want to bring people to the positive side. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, but we can all live joyful, happy lives, and we do it with a responsible way of eating and living delicious plant foods to nourish us, nourish the planet, and it's a good thing. So thanks for listening, and please join us at Responsible Eating and Living.